Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like tonight's film, 1988's Lurkers. This is a double bill here on Katarina's Nightmare Theater, put out by Scorpion Releasing, but we are looking at Lurkers right here. This is the film we're looking at tonight. And Die Sister Die comes to the double bill with, I believe Lurkers was available in some other formats and things like that. But this is Roberta Findlay's Lurkers from 1988. And actually, it says 87 on the back here. The 88 could have been the release date. That's what's on IMDb. But on the back of the DVD, it says 1987. Roberta Findlay. Look up that name on Google and you will see, even when her husband was alive as well, they worked together. Did unbelievably interesting exploitation, erotic, X-rated, and horror films. And I'll be looking at more of her stuff on this YouTube page in the future. This one right here, she directed, she edited, and she also did some of the cinematography for as well. So this is somebody who is heavily involved in this film. And I got to tell you, I've never seen anything like Lurkers before. There's the cover right there. There's a tagline that says, "Kathy's not scared. She should be. She's one of them." This is the back of the double bill DVD. I don't know if this thing is still in print, but this is it right here. Let's look at 1987-88's Roberta Findlay's Lurkers. This film is surreal. It's equal parts supernatural horror. It's equal parts gritty New York City crime. It's equal parts sexual bizarreness. Equal parts love story. And equal parts occult film. From crucifixions to gang violence, to S&M, to a murderous family, a victimized childhood, and an apartment house with a story that goes beyond. This is Lurkers. First and foremost, when we look at the music for this film, the music reminded me of a couple different things. It reminded me of, I believe, Rick Wakeman's work with Ken Russell's Crimes of Passion, mixed with Fred Molin's work in the Friday the 13th TV series. It has this orchestrated, synthesized, orchestrated score to it, if that makes sense. It's orchestrated. And the orchestra is synthesized. Even there are jazz elements to it. There's even a little bit of kind of dance disco elements at a party in the film. And there's a lot of variety. Even in the sound design, there's some poetry being spoken in the sound design in a terrifying fashion, in a surreal fashion. This is a film that is way beyond what you could ever expect from a horror film, especially from the late 80s. This is nothing like what I've seen that was going on in the late 80s whatsoever. This film reminded me of David Lynch mixed with The Sentinel, mixed with kind of Roberta Findlay's film Tenement a little bit, which I'm going to look at on this YouTube page. Real gritty New York City violence and inner city street terror, mixed with supernatural horror, supernatural occult. I mean, this is really something unreal. It's unreal, and I'm telling it to you here. The style of the film, we have some very interesting lighting in this, in various scenes, kind of giving you different vibes, different energy. This is a film of architecture, as architecture plays a very big character in this film. And so we have some interesting, very surreal staircases, and a front door, and the outside city streets. This is, Lurkers will pull you in at the beginning, and you will assume you understand where you're going and where you're headed and what's going to happen, especially in light of, maybe what you expect at the beginning of the film and the year of the film, and you're thinking, okay, this is what this film is going to be about, and you realize in 15-20 minutes this is not all the film is about. And then in another 20 minutes you realize, holy crap, how did we get here? What am I watching? What is unfolding here? There were elements of this film that reminded me of a film that I reviewed on this YouTube page called Corruption, which is an X-rated surreal film directed by the guy that did Last House on Dead End Street, put out by Vinegar Syndrome. There's parts of this film that reminded me of that. This is a film of doors, a film of hallways, a film of staircases, physical and mental. It's a film of rooftops. Unbelievably, there is, this is a violent film, violence involving children, violence involving families, domestic violence. We have gang violence. We have horrific kind of a very gory, violent section involving a sledgehammer, and it's so freaking surreal because the character's name in the credits is Hammer, with his name, and really horrific stuff. There's stabbing, but just the tones. There's even some very bizarre things happening with a man in a bar, and soon a crucifix, and suffering, and hitting in the face, and nails, and there's some very bizarre sequences in here. If you've seen David Lynch's Lost Highway, there was a section of the film that really reminded me of that. And then there were sections of the film that reminded me of Roberta Findlay's other types of horror films like The Oracle or Blood Sisters. And I got to tell you something, Roberta Findlay has a mark. She has a mark on film. And when she does horror films, they're unlike any other horror film out there. They are. Lurkers is probably the most crazy of the bunch that I've seen so far, between Blood Sisters and The Oracle, and I'll be looking at those in the future. I don't know when, but in the future, on this YouTube page. But, Lurkers even has the sexuality. We have topless nudity. We also have some very bizarre kind of group sex that is mysterious and surreal and weird, and possibly S&M and possibly the occult. And we have this is a film of characters. We have very bizarre things being said, being acted upon. What you once thought was probably just a cheating man now turns into, and something becomes redefined in another deeper level. As you watch Lurkers, you will see things that will soon be redefined 15 minutes later, or maybe an hour later. It occupies its own world. We have a nightmare aspect to the film, a traumatized psychological aspect to Lurkers. But then, real versus unreal. A character in disarray. Reminded me a bit of a film that I recently reviewed on this YouTube page for Mondo Macabro, Suddenly in the Dark, the Korean horror film. In terms of a character who is lost between what is real and what is not. You think of films like the original Carnival of Souls. You think of these types of films. And in Lurkers, we take it and shove a variety of different worlds right into your face, making you pleasantly bewildered, confused, freaked out, disturbed, unsure of what the hell's going on. And I say all of this in the positive. If you are a fan of the surreal, if you are a fan of movies, horror movies in particular, that do not prescribe to any formula, then Lurkers from Roberta Findlay will be for you. It's you can sense there's a lower budget in the film, but it was completely filmed in New York City. That ain't cheap. Large cast of very interesting characters, very interesting dialogue, especially in this party sequence. I found myself being scared as the film moved on and truth was being exposed. But the truth was confusing me, and that's what was terrifying me. Because I did not know what to expect next. Isn't that what you want from films? Isn't that what you want? You don't know what the hell is... I mean, no rules. No rules. And the film is near its end, and you're still trying to wrap your head around what is going on. What is happening? And it's in that confusion that terrified me in Lurkers, because the stuff that terrifies me the most in cinema, in art, in life is the stuff that confuses me. This is 1987-1988's Lurkers by Miss Roberta Findlay. Here, this one. Not this one. This one. There it is, folks. Lurkers. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Roberta Findlay's Lurkers. Thank you so much, and good night.